Hello ladies and gentlemen, Azaka here. I'm bringing to you another video for Conqueror's Blade, published by Porus Interactive and my games developed by Booming Tech. So, we have the new season being fully revealed. Obviously, we've seen all of the new units, and now we have a lot. Well, we basically have the PTR being open, so we have so much information to go through, and I think I'll just get straight into it. So, obviously, everyone likes to look at the battle pass first, followed by the runes, and then we'll take a look at the units themselves. I will go over briefly at the end for balance things, and then finally I will switch over to a female character to show off some of the attires for the upcoming season for anyone that's interested. But anyway, first things first. We have, obviously, Battle Pass. We got the Falcon Snow attires coming up first. And I'll just go through this very quickly. Obviously, you can take a look at these things as they go through. The Tiger Battalion, kind of a redoing kind of like the Tiger helmet from whatchamacalls it, the Tiger Surfs from the from the ranked attire skins, though I don't think very many people actually use that. Um, this one is particularly, I mean, I'm not very sure on horse attires. I love the armor. I'm not sure about horse, uh, the horse headwear here. Not really my thing, where they kind of amalgamate the horse head with another animal's head, or rather. And of course, the 100 attire, looking pretty snazzy, I would say, though a little bit of the casual mixed with some real armor. I do think that for style points, it's up there, but the real downside is when you're going up to the helmet. Helmet looks way too mismatchy, and definitely think that they could have gone a different way for the helmet. Maybe reduced the overall coverage. Maybe increase style points by having more hair. In fact, I think more hair to get that open look. I think with the actual helmet itself, it looks very closed, and I think I think you could have toned down the ornament here, made it look more like a hairpin sort of kind of deal. Though you could have kept the plume, probably try to match that with a more wilder hair. Again, you got the very nice open look when you go up, and it's a very cool looking armor for the skirt. But again, the helmet clashes really hard when you get to the top. I guess the vambraces kind of matches with the helmet, so there's a little bit of bringing it back, but I think it just looks weird in the end. Though out of the two, I do think I prefer the Snow Falcon, though um, it's more looks than anything than practicality. I do think that this overall has a very consistent, tight look. It looks like enclosed clothing. You've got pieces of armor that, of course, fit tightly to the that fits tightly and not loose. And of course, you got this turtleneck looking thingy that makes it all a bit cozier, and it's very, 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 very winter-esque looking armor. Obviously for the other 200 battle pass, you don't have really much. The title you'll receive is Dragonrise Imperial Dynasty. Anyone that actually goes for this is insane. Um, After that, we do have the seasonal runes, and I will go through them really quickly. I don't expect anything to change. I actually haven't taken a look at the runes. I've taken a look at some other things. So obviously these two are the same. This is same, same. This is the same. Same. Yep, the same. Again, this is very weak, not really great. Again, defeating or assisting one hero reduces by 1 second. Like, just simply hitting a hero should just reset this by one, and hitting 3 soldiers should reset this by one, so that you can get off really cool smack, 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 smack. Again, Tiger's Claw is not essential damage ability. It's not that strong. Your basic attacks basically come out much faster and can do more damage overall. If it wasn't for the knockback, I don't think anyone would actually use Tiger's Claw. I think this one wasn't working properly, but if it does work, it is pretty strong. I think a lot of people will prefer the movement speed over the damage increase, but I think the damage increase is the better of the two. Mix it up with the lifesteal conversion, you got tons of damage bonus here. Obviously, we got normal pike stuff. Spear stuff has kind of been universal. Again, spear's been kind of like one of the ones where it's just like you can't really do anything to buff the base skills because they don't really matter. The horse skills is where it's at. Horse skills is where it's at. So I'm pretty sure everyone's gonna go with this mounted attack. If you hit that 4,000 damage attack, you're gonna be doing 3,300, 4,400 attack. And I mean, like, if you're good with back attacks, you're gonna be hitting five, 6 or 8,000 damage, maybe. I mean, I'm over exaggerating, but you can imagine. You can imagine getting hit by a spear, and it just takes out a quarter of your health with each stab. And they can do that like 3 times in quick succession. And if they're really good at stamina management, they'll hit you 4 times. Sword and shield, same. I haven't seen or noticed anything that has been changed. Yeah, poleaxe one is the same. So far, I don't think we've got any new ones at all, which is a bit disappointment. And there's the one for the Nodachi. Disappointment here. Okay, so just rehashes. Oh, what? That's very weird. I don't know why the glaive's here on the helmet. Do you have something to tell me, Glaive? Well, first of all, Glaive doesn't have anything up here, so my guess is that they accidentally switched over a couple things. So that could also entail probably a rune rework a little bit later. Oh, looks like a couple of them have been mixed around. So we could be seeing either an error or the runes haven't been set yet. I'm guessing the runes might not have been set yet, so probably take this with a grain of salt. Again, PTR is subject to change, and it's not guaranteed, though I do like to think that things can change. I'm pretty reluctant to believe so. Continuing on, we'll start off with the units now. Oh, hang on. Let me just quickly go to the Fame Envoy while we're kind of having a look. Got a nice looking face there, but in the end, can't get the face though. I like this attire more, actually, because it's got a matching outfit here. The black doesn't actually seem that outlandish now. Wow. Imagine how much of a change that really looks. How this looks very, very gaudy with all the gold and bright colors with the mixture with the white, the black, green. And then you go to something like, this. And it kind of mellows out a lot. Kind of makes it look way better this way. You get a more consistent look throughout. Less gaudy, of course. You got all of the trimmings being made the same color. Or embroidery things being made the same color. A little bit duller, so it's not so bright. And of course, matching the hair here, so it's just like, again, more well-rounded in a sense like this. And obviously you got the title here. Dragonrise Golden Age. Alright, I guess on to the thing that everyone is here for now. If bugging out here for some reason. Tier 3. Let's start off with Tier 3. So, 150 leadership. That's going to be 160 at the end of the season. Next season. 160. Model, 28 models. It's got Bring Order from Chaos. Leadership for unit deployment decreased by 10. The movement speed of feathered crossbowmen increases when following a hero. The feathered crossbowmen deal high damage with every 4th attack. And then we have dual weapons. Feathered crossbowmen are skilled in utilizing both tang sword and crossbow, enabling them to respond calmly and confidently in any close or long-range combat. Their skills can be used in both combat modes and result in different skill effects. So it's got 2 different skills. Only one of them has effect in their melee mode. Obviously, suppressing fire is just a basic crossbow skill where they just fire in the direction. Now, formations don't really matter too much. I think most people will just probably try to keep them as concentrated as possible. So you've got 3 ranks. You got dispersed and obviously 3 ranks. But for most people, I think they'll be keeping them in 3 ranks. Suppressing fire, basically like basically targeting fire. Place it on the ground, they'll shoot towards the direction, and they'll keep shooting until you give them a different order. Sudden Storm. I'm going to read the description, and then I'm going to give you what I've experienced with them so far. In ranged combat mode, units gain damage boost and launch 3 rounds of arrows to enemies. Arrow in the final round causes piercing damage and knockbacks to the enemy, or to the target. In melee mode, units gain defense boost and trigger a triple slash to enemies. The final attack causes armor penetration damage and knocks back to the target. I will be honest, this is really strong. Like, ludicrously strong. For a tier 3. And I don't want to try to understate this, because you will be surprised by how effective the melee mode on Sudden Storm really is. The knockback is nice. The overall damage is kind of mediocre. We're hitting in like mediocre zone when we're talking about like crossbows and stuff. But I'm really loving the melee mode, and I'll show you why in a little bit. But continuing on to the attributes, one of the most surprising things is at max level, 3,959 health. Now, why is that surprising? It is tankier than any other ranged unit in the tier 3 or below. That is more than Janissaries sitting at the 3,800 something something. Wow! These guys are incredibly tanky. Like, incredibly tanky. Almost to the state where I'm just like, I could go... like, these guys could probably survive a musket bomb. Like, if too many of them get hit in a musket bomb, you're not killing any of them. That is how tanky that these guys probably will be. And it's amazing to see ranged units now actually getting the love they need, but they're still too short. They've went from 10% of their infantry counterpart now to 25%. All I ask for is just not be blown up by like a breeze. That being said, the other surprising thing is the stats themselves. The piercing armor penetration, 2,400. It's not exactly super high in comparison to like updating now. I mean, the Demez crossbowmen, probably the closest counterpart, is only 100 higher than them. Not particularly high, in fact. The real short side of this is the actually 50 range. Ammo as well. Crossbows have notoriously low ammo in comparison to like, I mean like archers of course, but they still have more ammo than muskets, but muskets do twice as much damage than crossbows. And they'll eat through their ammo pretty quickly, but not that quickly. I do think that you give them a little bit of the ammo increase and they'll be okay for the most parts, but not really long-term ranged unit kind of thing. You wouldn't want to throw your ranged units into melee either. Melee's kind of always been a last resort or never a resort kind of thing. But don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. I'm telling you right now, these stats do not do justice to how strong their melee attacks really are. Especially with the skill. The skill straight up like tons of damage. Another surprising factor is the amount of armor being 454 piercing armor, and it's quite incredible, in fact. Probably the tankiest ranged unit out of the tier 3s ever. So yeah, going on to the Veteran Z line, we got some basic things. So we got the piercing damage, the piercing armor penetration, movement speed. We got a nice movement speed at 5.3. Sunstorm's cooldown going down by 10. Again, if the Sunstorm get any more and it was spammable, you'd only be using that. But there is a reason why this last one's going to just shock your socks off. Cutting damage by 2% twice again. Like that's probably has to do with their sword attack. And then finally, the true monster that is, I think, the reason why these guys are going to be pretty difficult to kill by no small stretch of the imagination. The fact is this maximum health increase comes as a pure health increase. So you have your normal health and you have this health just added on. That's just 150. 150 of about 3,400. Let's just say 4,000. That is 6,000 more health. We're playing with a unit that heals for practically 6,000 health on ability use, not on hit, not on attack, on ability use, and has 10,000 health for the duration of the skill. It's amazing. This is like the Kriegs brothers all over again, but as a ranged unit. As a ranged unit. It's a hybrid unit of technicality, but it's classified as a crossbow unit as well, so there's that. I'm not sure if anyone else besides me are going to like these guys. Again, people hate ranged units, but I would love to use these guys as just pure melees. And I am very, very excited to use them in battle. Nevertheless, I mean, I'm probably going to be cutting down on playing Conqueror's Blade, that is, but I like this unit. I definitely do like this unit. As absurd as some things are, it's a very how to say fun unit design. It's got some good things. It's got some hybrid things, flexible. You kind of just work with it in some respects, and they are very durable. And the heal just keeps them in the fight as well. Their damage is nothing to scoff at as well. I mean, Sudden Storm, put it in perspective. I mean, they got no block break by the looks of it. There's very little or basically nothing like most ranged units. They do have a little bit of some kind of AoE effect, or they're throwing out their attacks so fast that they seem to be able to punch through even some of the more tankier units, and that's not even talking about the amount of damage that they're dishing out. The damage these guys are dishing out might seem small at 400 and 800, but for some reason, they ballooned to 2,000, 4,000 in melee. That is, I'm not sure why, but kind of just seemed like that. All right, moving on to the tier 4. Tier 4 is going to be. I think the tier 4 and the tier 5 right now are a bit of a disappointment, but I'll explain. These guys are cheap. These guys are cheap. I know by like a lot. So the Wumansion guards are a special melee infantry, not polearm infantry. Very surprised considering that I wanted to put on the pike charge doctrine. And talking about doctrines, I forgot to take a look at the doctrines that these guys get. So we had Feathered Crossbowmen Vengeful Dragon, which, while crossbow and blade adaptability grants an extra 15% armor penetration when activated. Oh, that's even scarier. A basic flying serpent piercing and slashing damage increased by 60. Not that great. That's alright. Did you close the door in the end? Nah, that's alright. I'll shut the door afterwards. Oh yeah. So the Wu Wei Mansion Guards. Their basic attack is very surprising, but I'll explain that when I finish kind of things or when I show them in a little bit of training action. They're cheap. They're cheap. 225 leadership. Gonna be 235 by the end. They're gonna be the same cost as Berserkers, and only 10 more expensive than something like Men at Arms. Not stronger than Men at Arms though, but they're cheap. They're on the cheaper side. I do think they're pushing down the leadership more and more focusing on the tier 5s kind of being the main battle force. The triple tier 5 does seem to kind of be the go-to with like a filler tier 3 or maybe cheap tier 4. Um, I don't particularly like this attitude. Again, not how I would want the game to end up being. Again, tier 5s are either too strong for their own good, or tier 4s are too cost effective to be balanced. Anyway, it only has 24 units and it has unit traits. Obviously, we got the bring order to chaos, the 10% leadership decrease. As I said before, by the end of the season, is going to go change to 235. End of the next season, sorry. Now, it has 3 different passives that I'm not entirely sure what is happening. But let's read through them. The Wu Wei Mansion Guards skillfully and accurately employ pike to pierce through enemies, restores 3% HP after each attack. Now, you think, oh, they're going to heal on each attack. Let's read the next one. Wu Wei Mansion Guards enter status of overwhelming power for 6 seconds. Enable Wu Wei Mansion Guards to attack 3 enemies and increase attack frequency. Pike proficiencies will not be active under this status. Alright, randomly is going to enter a special state where they can attack up to 3 enemies and they'll lose their 3% healing. Oh boy. So I guess they increase their damage output by like 300%. Well, increase it by 200%, but increase it, um, no, increase it to 300%, increase it by 200%. Um, Semantics here. And again, like, depending on how attack frequency works, restores 3% HP after each attack. Not a lot. I mean, it's not as I wouldn't say it's as strong or as global as like Men at Arms 3% healing every second while in Cover Commander, but it's not small either. It's almost it's almost dependent on how tanky these guys are for a 3% heal to really matter. But I wouldn't put my faith in these guys being tanky. They have a little bit of healing, but it's frankly not enough. I mean, if you want to talk about healing units, Onimusha and Orochi Samurais have the heals down pack. Anyway, the last one is the Wumansion God attack will mark the enemy. The marked enemy will receive extra damage, but will not be controlled by Wumansion God's skill. So I'm not sure when this is applied, and I have no idea if it's applied on skill or on basic attacks. But I assume it is kind of a bit of both. So it is strange. It is a strange combination of things. Very overloaded, but end up mediocre in the end. We got disperse formation, we have column formation, and we have block formation. None of these have an auto brace. It is a special melee infantry, so it doesn't have anything to do with kind of being a pike unit. It looks like a pike unit, not a pike unit. Now we have Soul Breaking Claw. Launch a continuous attack towards using their pike to knock enemies off the ground in the final hit, causing considerable damage and restore their health. Not exactly sure how much health they heal. It could be 3%, it could be more. I'm not sure how to calculate the bases. Again, this is kind of like eyeing it, so we have no idea how strong or how weak it is. But I'll say that the abilities are just surprisingly weak. And especially the number 2 ability for how cool it looks. I mean, let's put it this way. Base cooldown 15 seconds with a base duration of 5 seconds, so you think this would be fairly spammable. Not really. 15 seconds is just long enough where there is downtime, but it's not exactly short enough to really leave and come back. And the brutal sweep again, like it's 30-second cooldown with a 4-second base duration, so it's not long enough where you would be able to use 1-1. There would be downtime in between, so you got gaps in the gameplay for these guys, but that kind of makes sense considering how good these guys are kind of like in auto attack mode. That being said, I didn't actually read out Brutal Sweep, so let me go with the Wumansion Guards wield pike to deliver death to their adversaries, inflict throw and considerable damage to enemy. Wumansion Guards is immune to control during the skill duration. Again, a lot of CC immunity. You're going to see it more and more. Eventually, you're going to see, well, you already have CC immune tier 3s, but again, it's going to be kind of that progression where there's going to be more overloaded and a lot of things added on, making it more complex and making it harder to gauge how powerful some things are. But of course, this game also kind of loves overloading just one ability and making it being the go-to and making it the kind of one-hit wonder scenario. I wouldn't be surprised if either Brutal Sweep or actually, I'm pretty sure Brutal Sweep will probably be the skill that gets buffed. It has a longer cooldown and will probably end up being the guaranteed win skill. They'll probably like just to put it simply, I think they need to increase the overall damage output either by increasing the target numbers or damage or just raw damage coming out of this skill. It is very lackluster. It is it's just overall performance is just not there. Also, just general note, block break on these guys are terrible. Their skill block break terrible. That being said, let's look at some stats. You'll notice as well that these guys don't particularly have any damage resistance. They are as squishy as they sound, even though if their stats don't portray that. Only 13,000, and I say only 13,000 health because you have to remember, no damage resistance, only a little bit of healing. Remember, like, men-at-arms have, like, damage resistance up to 30. It does reduce very fast, very quickly, but it also has something like the noble bloods or the knightly doctrines, which reduces damage by 100. And again, those things go out of control. Makes them go out of control in seriously some insane amount of tankiness in comparison to before and after. A nice speed of 5.5. Again, 5.5 is on average faster than on the faster side, not faster on average, but it is on the faster side comparative to like units that are run sub 5. But 5.5 is like if you imagine like 5 being roughly around the kind of like average speed. It's not true it's going to be average speed, but you'll find that a lot of units are actually over 5 right now. So units have been getting faster, and is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? I don't know. Um, the speed being kind of a deal breaker has never really been my thing. I kind of like unit designs, especially Iron Reapers. They're slow as hell, but they hit like a truck. Um, Other stats wise, we got 2,156. Again, like some of these stats are pretty high in comparison to kind of like other units. Closest unit we can compare them to is probably the Imperial Pike Guard, but again, completely separate usage in its entirety. The penetration is increasing, and that's always because of just generally the armor is kind of like that. We can't really get past the slow creep, including the drastic increase in health. But I want to chalk that up to just the reduced unit size. The unit size is only 24. Gives them a benefit of around about, I would say, I think it's like 25%, something like 25%. So adding on around about 2,000, 2,300-ish makes sense. But still, it is creep because even though statistically these guys might look balanced, skills and other things could easily make them out of control. One being is this overwhelming power state. If anything, it's very comparable to the ASAPs. If you ever played around with the ASAPs, fully maxed ASAPs, and they throw out their skills sometimes, it feels like that, but on steroids. And I love it for the Cudgel Monks. Talking about the Cudgel Monks, I did notice that they did get a new snazzy looking unit card. I'm not sure if they got a new thing, but I don't think anything else has changed about them for now. Though I do love the looks of this unit card. It is much better than before. Now, on to the final one. It is probably the biggest disappointment, and I hope it stays a disappointment. I don't like the tier 5 cavalries. I don't like the fact that cavalry is so strong, and I don't like the fact that we're getting more and more cavalry that just beats the shit out of infantry. With that being said, this is a special cavalry. For as much as you think that this lance looks like it should be a lance cavalry, they use it more like a pole arm, surprisingly. Zhuangjia heavy cavalry. It's the tier 5 305, will be 315 at the end of the season. Only 16 models. Again, I said it was going to be like kind of like an Eastern Monastic Knights, but I think it's going to be kind of like the complete opposite of what a Lance Cavalry really is. It's going to be more similar to the Yanyu Dals, probably more similar to the Spahis, um, probably more similar to the Tundra Humans. They are, for all intent and purposes, not charge focused, so they have a very weak charge and they don't do well. Well, I say they don't do well on charge, but that's actually false as well. If you watch my raw test footage, it wasn't very long, but there's some things that concern me about how their charge is working, whether or not it's just because we didn't use doctrines, or whether or not it was just bad setup or something. But yeah, it's surprisingly weak. It's surprisingly weak. So, onto the unit traits. So we have, oh my goodness, doctrines. Before we go into that, before we move on completely, the Wumansion Guards Mighty recover 10% HP immediately when Brutal Suite is active. Very nice, very nice. Increase overwhelming power duration by 1 second, so instead of 6 seconds, it's going to be 7 seconds. Not entirely sure how strong that really is, but it is mostly just in their basic attack, so it could be very, very strong. Considering that their basic attack is right now is their strongest state. Alright. Unit trait for the tier 5, we have obviously the Bring Order to Chaos, 10 leadership reduction while in season. We have Iron Cavalry charges 2. It's a bit incomplete. Not sure. Zhuangjia Heavy Cavalry cause extra damage at high speed. So, while at high speed, they will hit harder. I'm not sure if I got this. I'm not sure if I got this to trigger properly in my test, but I think you need a longer run up in order for these guys to really ham home that damage increase, because most of the time when traveling at high speed, the damage increase can be up to some absurd 80%. I mean, the last time I remember seeing like hard numbers for like high speed bonuses was 80% for the heavy prefecture cavalry, but for all intent and purposes, Lance Cavalry seem to have like 100% increase at high speed. So when they're traveling at max speed, they get a massive boost in damage. And while they're charging, they have this other unit trait that kicks in. So, again, a lot of things that we're not sure what applies or what is happening for cavalry. We do know that they have some kind of speed bonus for the majority of things that do bleed into other things. So if you're wondering why, like, charge hits so hard, is because it's just got a high base, high speed bonus, and on top of that, other unit trait kind of things that just made it balloon out of control. I mean, you think that Winged Stars 11,000, 12,000 damage, it was like a freak of nature. Remember, before that, they was still doing 6, maybe 8,000 damage, and it was the unit trait that added 60% on top of that. That being said, we got Mighty Rider as well. Janjua Heavy Cavalry can deal multiple enemy units at once, ideal against infantry. So it's just, again, telling you that it got wide AoE attacks and you shouldn't be surprised if it just kills everyone. Not what I like. It's not what I like. I think it's stupid when it has stuff like this. It just means that the developers know that the hit limit is a problem, but they don't want to fix it. Hit limit is such a problem, such a big point, balancing point for nearly every single unit, Any unit that has a +1, any unit that can get increased multi-hit will get increased multi-hit, and their like single target damage will still be in like 2,000 damage, even if their regular attack is like 2,000 damage, but they'll hit like 5 guys, so they're doing like 5 times more damage in that mode. And we got the standard fireproof armor. Again, don't have flame wars, so again, it is kind of the just kind of the thing. Surprisingly, nothing to do with any special things like damage reduction. Though I will say there is something in the veterancy line, but veterancy lines can be a bit finicky. I would think I think might be better off going certain lines than others. We have two formation, dispersed and wedge formation. Obviously, cavalry, wedge formation, dense, make them as dense as possible, create a train. It is just impossible to deal with a singular cavalry, and when you're dealing with multiple cavalries all in a row, it just becomes even more impossible. Your line will break down very fast. If one cavalry doesn't punch hard enough, 20 cavalry will. Now we come on to the unit order. Swift as lightning significantly increases the speed of the Zhuangjia heavy cavalry and charges towards a designated location. Inflict knockback and minor damage to the enemy on the route in high speed. During charge, the cavalry will automatically avoid obstacles and subsequent move commands from the player will not interrupt the charge. So 12-second base duration, 12 seconds charging, no matter if you change the order itself. It is a little finicky. I think they lose their bonus speed when you pull them out of the charge, but again, it's not really much of a charge. It is very weak, and I'm pretty sure doctrine-wise, it actually doesn't seem like it can get. Well, I haven't tested it yet, but maybe I will should. It's not a lance cavalry. It is a special cavalry, so it's not charge focused like other lance cavalry. Now, the health is reasonably low. It's not spectacularly high. Again, like, I think Yan Yudao's are ridiculously statted. For a cavalry. It has ridiculous attacks. It has ridiculous doctrines. It has a lot of ridiculous things all culminated together just to end up with this piece of crap that is just ruined everything. It came out weak, but I swear that the ability itself was very strong. Good players could use it and smack people. If it wasn't for the cavalry charge rework, I think the Yanyanaos would have had a really good place as a kind of smash, kind of like a breakthrough cavalry that had a little bit of extra utility in its rapid nature. That being said, its armor is pretty nice. Almost 700 for both the piercing and slashing defense. Only about 550 in the blunt defense. Then again, we don't have very many blunt attacks that kind of make use of this. It is still on the tankier side, but it's surprisingly it's still surprisingly squishy, but difficult at the same time. It is still a cavalry, and there are some weird things that just makes this really irritating. Oh, and I didn't even talk about the second ability. What is wrong with me? Weapon Veteran. The Zhanjua Lance Cavalry I like how it says the Zhanjua Lance Cavalry. And it's just like, oh no, they're Lance Cavalry. Maybe I should definitely check if they can put Lance Cavalry doctrines on. Becomes immune to control for 1 second, initiates several rounds of attacks when close to the enemy. causing significant damage. Base cooldown is 30 seconds with a basic duration of 4 seconds. From what I was told, the 1 second of crowd control immunity is triggered on every attack. At the start of every attack, they have 1 second of crowd control immunity. I think this gets superseded by the medals. I'm not sure if that's entirely true. It's still kind of in testing with other people. I'm not going to be able to test it myself, but this CC immunity does give them some kind of unstoppability. So if you get hit by these guys, like, don't be surprised if the charge does nothing and then all of a sudden you get hit by this basic attack that feels like it hits like a super truck. Because it does. When traveling at high speed, these guys will deal maybe four-ish, like 4,000 damage, and these attacks come in very fast, by the way. They come in very fast. I think they'll end up doing like 4 attacks in the 4 seconds. Not sure how many it hits, but if it hits anything more than 3, you're going to be one-shotting 16 people 4 times over within 4 seconds. So, for doctrines, for their personal doctrines, we have decrease weapon veteran cooldown time by 5 seconds, which is their rare doctrine. Get that early. You get the Zanjua Heavy Cavalry Azura Minor, which increases the weapon veterans block break increase by 400, which is an insane amount of block break, by the way. Considering on an attack that attacks multiple times and probably hits multiple targets. And of course, we have some kind of obligatory better than the rest. Again, why is it that cavalry always get these doctrines that are just better? This is 8% damage reduction. Like, it doesn't even specify which. It just says all. And then you go to something like Varangian Guards, and they're just like, huh, we're gonna be real stingy and just go 5% melee damage reduction. Useless. Absolutely useless. No one would ever use that. You know why? You have 2 different doctrines that not only give 5% damage reduction to all damage types. I mean, I say all damage type, but like damage reduction. And it has other things like 300 health, 80 armor. Way better than just 5% damage reduction only to melee damage reduction. Why? This 8% is arguable. Maybe you don't need the 300 health. 300 health is literally 3%. Wow, less than 3%. Your overall health pool only increases by 300 when you already have like 13,000 of it. The 5% is more valuable, but an 8%, 3% higher than the 8%. I mean, 3% higher than the 5%. Done deal. Better. Instantly better. But yeah, those are the doctrines for the Zanjua Heavy Cavalry. I'm going to go into the veterancy now, kind of mixing up things here. I have no idea why they want to overload at nearly every section, but like the tier 5 lately have some of the most ridiculous veterancies that just changes. Like, the fact that this is the first veterancy node just makes no sense to me. Increases passive skill Thornmail. It doesn't have Thornmail. Maybe originally they had Thornmail, but at this point it just gives them a new passive. When Zhuanjia Cavalry is not under the status of Swift as Lightning or Weapon Veteran, Thornmail will be active when close to an enemy, causing damage to a single enemy with a cooldown of 30 seconds. Again, what this actually is, no indicator. What this actually does, no indicator. It has an internal cooldown of 30 seconds. We still have no idea what it does. I mean, sorry, we have an idea that it deals damage. We're not exactly sure how much damage. We're not exactly sure if it appears as an attack, whether or not it appears as a like just a contact thing, or maybe the enemy has to attack it. No idea. I mean, Thornmail makes it sound like it's from League of Legends, and it's got the Thornmail passive from there. Obviously, we got some basic stuff: health increase, piercing defense increase, slashing damage increase. We have Swift as Lightning cooldown by 2 for 2. Reduce range damage by 10%, 2 times. Again, these ones are really good, especially for cavalry. And again, just like range just getting bonus damage against cavalry, and then cavalry just being like getting range resistance. It's like an arms race at this point that I have no idea who's going to win in the end. Well, no, I take that back. I know who's going to win in the end. It's always going to be range. You know why? Because you can always have enough range where cavalry just gets obliterated. Unless cavalry literally just has a shield, um, you're going to always have enough range where cavalry, no matter how much cavalry you funnel through, they'll just die before they reach the ranged unit. And I mean like that very sincerely, because everyone hates the range meta because of that. Because when you get shot down and you want to make a run for it, you have to come in through like odd angles or get really close, giving them no time to shoot you. But if they got the full on range and they're dealing damage, before you even make it to them, your whole unit's gonna die. But again, one unit of cavalry right on top of 15 range, you're gonna kill so many people. I mean, the Iron Cap swordsmen have just the thing. They get distracted for 1 second, and they're on top of the ranged units and just decimating hundreds and hundreds of ranged units. I mean, pretty sure cavalry has been in super high usage because of the cheap Iron Cap swordsmen, Iron Cap scouts, sorry. And that just puts more pressure on anti-cavalry. And people don't bring anti-cavalry because they get blown up by everything else. The range blows them up. The men-at-arms blow them up. Any other tier 5s blow them up. Even though you might be cost effective, too much of the heavy stuff will just blow you out of the water without giving you a chance to fight back. Now, razor sharp. Well, this next one decreases the amount of damage you take from infantry, so very powerful. Um, increases all defense by 2%. So again, this is very small value. Your armor is not exactly spectacular. You are a heavy cavalry. You're basically on the upper end of like tier 4s and stuff. Probably still higher than most other cavalry in the tier 5. But the raw tankiness doesn't really come in like this. Your speed and almost unstoppable nature is just kind of what makes you more difficult to deal with than just something being super tanky. Monastic Knights can assure you that they're slow as hell and they're tanky as, but they get beaten up so easily. So easily. Now we have the top line last veterancy. Swift as Lightning enables unit gain 30% damage reduction during high speed. Share the same effect when trigger weapon veterancy during the duration of Swift as Lightning. So it either doesn't. Okay, so it either means weapon veterancy also gains 30% damage reduction while Swift as Lightning is active. Well, that's probably what it means. I mean, like some other wild interpretations, just like maybe they overlap. So maybe you can activate Swift as Lightning, and then you activate Weapon Veterancy, and then you all of a sudden you have 60% damage resistance. Nah, it's probably not like that. But it would be surprised if it was. I mean, Daggerrank Lancers do this all the time. Daggerrank Lancers are charging in United Charge, and they go, whoop-de-doo, I'm gonna do a swing! They do that stupid ass counterattack swing, and then all of a sudden they have like 90% damage resistance. Still haven't fixed that bug, by the way. We have bottom line, slashing damage increase, slashing armor, armor penetration increase, weapon veterancy cooldown twice for 2 seconds twice, movement speed increase. So, the surprising thing is that their movement speed is actually quite low. I think their base movement speed is 7.2 actually. Let me just double check. The base movement speed is 7.2. Yes, it is. Not the slowest cavalry, since Spahis and Monastic Knights both have the slowest speed at 7. I don't know why that happens. I don't know why that's buggy. But getting up there, so I think 2 more. 8.2, probably 8.3, maybe max. Each level reduces the damage taken during weapon veterancy by 5%. That seemed pretty strong. Each level increases damage to infantry by 5%. You can get this 3 times. And increase damage of weapon veterancy by 15%. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. You would probably get higher damage resistance out from the top line. Like, that is guaranteed. But the amount of damage increase from 15% increase against infantry and 15% on weapon veteran, where it is your main damage skill. Again, weapon veterans is your main damage skill. Your charge is worthless at this point in comparison. I think bottom line is better. The damage reduction, the survivability of top line, it does not sound like it's worth it, considering that you're going to charge weapon veteran and just walk out kind of thing. But the good thing is that the cooldowns are substantial enough where you can't abuse these guys. It's not so long you have to leave, but it's short enough. It's short enough where you can kind of regroup to attack fairly quickly, I would say. Fairly quickly. Engagements normally last around about 5 seconds. Getting into engagements roughly around about 5 seconds. Getting out 5 seconds. With all the dilly-dallying around, you probably end up with being able to re-engage after 10 seconds. And again, repositioning could take ages. Could take ages depending on where you're coming from. Anyway, I'm gonna end this up by taking a quick look at it in the offset cent, and then I want to hear what you guys think. I will also attach in the oh wait, I also have to do the female one. And again, I do wonder what the developers are thinking. Oh, they redid the horse for the winged hussar. It's very just the horse. That's very weird. I feel like only the horse got changed there.
All troops form up! Form up!
Now these guys have very terrible accuracy. I don't particularly like how terrible their accuracy is in comparison to just other other versions of them. I mean, other version of crossbow units. But the damage is not low, just to say in the very small part. They're still very weak against shields. But as you can see here, they're dealing decent damage, and you saw that it was 3,600. I mean 3,900. But I don't even know why it triggers like that. Its short range will get to you. And as you can see, at far distances, it will be... Ooh, I lagged. I lagged real hard there.
Fallen! Switch weapon! Okay.
And again, every fourth attack does deal bonus damage. You do get that coming through. It kind of looks like it's dealing like twice the amount of damage-ish. And they're tanky. They're not dying to like 1 or 2 hits. These guys take maybe 4, maybe 5 hits from something as basic as those ranged units. And of course, you activate the 2 ability. You activate the 2 ability, and they're absolutely insane. They're tanky as. By no stretch of the imagination. And I'm... You see my thing just go out of control just there. Accuracy still pretty bad. Good thing that doctrines will definitely make that much better. Thank you, holy cow. But they'll run out fast. Only about 750, so their fire rate's not bad, at the very least. If you could put fire rate doctrines on them, they'll probably eat through their ammo almost in seconds. I think they would only be able to fire for less than a minute. And yeah, like, see? I'm hitting these guys for a base of 3,000-ish. And then they get block broken. And then there's just tons of damage. So, I'm not sure what's happening to these guys to just do, like, absurd levels of damage. And to imagine that, like, when you activate this ability, not only does it increases their damage, it also makes them do a triple attack and gives them a little bit of defense. But I think that's realistically just a block kind of thing. So I like it. I like this kind of hybrid unit. That's enough about those guys. It is just a very big surprise that they made a tanky ranged unit like this, even if it's just like one of the crossbow units, one of the gimp types. It won't be used for pure range damage. Like, again, they're very difficult to kill because of that ability, and if you run around and only activate that ability, you become very, very difficult to kill because, again, 10,000 health is not easy to one-shot, especially when you're trying to one-shot a lot of them. Now, these guys feels like they underperform. But if you just let them attack, auto-attack, they have a lot of special attacks that allows them to truly shine. They probably have something to do with, like, low block break, I think. Shield units make them look even more pathetic. And of course, the formations are not particularly great. And this is the #1 skill again. Kind of strange for their twirly-whirly thing. It says it's continuous attack, but I don't think I'm hitting anything tough enough to survive. And of course, the most disappointing skill, even though it looks way more impactful than it actually is the #2 ability. Yeah, see? All of that just gets eaten into the block. I did kill a couple guys, but I feel like that should have just wiped the whole unit out. Long cooldown, by the way. 30 seconds. The Soul Claw kind of makes sense. It's kind of a weaker version of Medal Order. But even then, Medal Order has like only a 4-second cooldown. They kind of look like they do have some kind of speed boost when you use the ability. So yeah, that is the Wumansion Guards. Not my favorite, but it's kind of not my favorite for the abilities, but it's kind of my favorite for just letting them attack. They are better just letting them attack because there is a bit more damage output versus using the ability. Probably just to do with general damage output. They got the Overwhelm, which allows them to attack 3 units. Not sure if it ever triggers, like, constantly. And of course, they heal. They heal constantly as well. That's very strange. That took much longer. That took much longer than normal. Or what I'm used to. Did I go through the veterancy line through the Wumansion guards? There we go. I'll have a double check on the veterancy line for the Mansion guards. Feel like I should have. Now, these guys, again, probably don't have enough practice with. I'm not very good with cavalry in the first place, since I hate them. But generally, I think it's going to be something like you charge in, you activate the number 2, smash, 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 and that's kind of how it goes. Like, as you can see, they kind of like unleashed like a combo, boom, boom, boom. And I think this is Thornmail here, or some kind of enhanced power attack. Or it could just be their basic attack. I mean, honestly, the only way to figure it out is just create a new unit and just not have that veterancy unlocked. But yeah, their basic attack is nothing to scoff at the very least. It hurts in melee, which I like. But again, it's another cavalry unit, where it's just like... It's just another cavalry unit that's just going to mess up all of the infantry. And we have so many cavalry units that just mess up the infantry anyway with charge. Can I activate this? That's interesting how that works. Now, one other thing I wanted to try was just the... Ooh. Yeah, when you do that, they kind of go funky. And then, yeah, I think that's Thornmail there. Big damage when they're not in either.
All troops form up. Stand to. Quickly now.
I did a couple of tests. They don't seem to be so strong that they'll blast right through medalls, but they're not going to be stopped by them. That's going to be an issue. And that's just the nature of how this charge just works. And, as you can see, absolute garbage for damage on the charge. And they stay in it for 12 seconds, so they kind of home in. Which is interesting. I feel like entering that charging state is kind of fun.
All troops form up. Hit them hard.
You know, this is the kind of skill that I actually requested on the Yan Yu Daos. Like, Weapon Veteran, it's the exact same skill I requested on the Yan Yu Daos to give them on Bull Charge, because Bull Charge is just absolutely garbage. Absolutely garbage. It's basically a glorified Gallop or Snowwalker on the Tundra Humans. I mean, sorry, the Armiger Lancers. And yeah, I thought it was funny just realizing that now. But yeah, look at that 1,000 damage. I think I don't have enough space for all of the things. But I'm going to give it a shot. So I'm going to throw them over here. See if I can get them to move at high speed. Considering that high speed to them might actually not be
All
that
troops
fast.
form up. Form up. Stand to. Quickly now.
I need them to move weirdly.
Fall in.
Come on. Yep, there we go. Pikemen. Not sure about this extra damage, but I'm actually thinking that special charge attack into downward strike is the Thorn Mail passive. I could just verify that simply by just creating a new unit real quickly.
Form up.
It lagged so hard, I'm not even taking my input.
All troops form up.
Alrighty. So just a quick test. I'm gonna see if that Thorn Mails thing. I'm gonna go through the Wu Wei. I'm gonna quickly go through the Wu Wei veterancy line and see if I accidentally missed that. Check for a couple of veterancies actually. I want to check out. Actually, I'm gonna. So what am I gonna do? I'm going to. Can create a new one. Okay, can't do that unless I destroy a couple guys. Okay, I take that back. I can't do that unless I destroy a lot of guys. So, other way of doing that is just reset veterancy line, like I should have done. Like, I'm not stupid. Alright. One thing I wanted to check out. Double shot. How double shot gonna work out on Fancy Pants? Obviously, we're gonna see if we can get some Lance Cavalry Doctrine. I don't think these are going to appear, but never know what might or what might not appear. Never know, never know. Obviously not melee cavalry. Oh, one thing I definitely want to check. Of course, of course, of course they would do this. So, I mean, this is not a surprise that Great Tolerance would be on these guys. It is one of the most OP doctrines in the game. So I'm not surprised that they can use it. I'm just upset that they can use it. Where is Wow, am I skipping over? Oh, here we go. Polearm infantry. Not that great. Polearm infantry's got some garbage. Absolute garbage skills. Can I get... No, I can't. Can't get the charge cooldown. Can I get the charge attack? I cannot. Real annoyed right now. Alright, doesn't matter. It was just a check to see if they can get it anyway, so I highly doubt it. So, doctrines? Do we see anything? Alright, cool. So we just see those things again. Just see the normal stuff. Special, so they didn't get any extra stuff. Again, of course, great tolerance. And for these guys. My goodness. Oh! I don't know. I don't know. Would you actually put great tolerance on these guys? That would be terrifying. Alright, I want to see double shot on these guys as well as I test out a couple of things. Oh, man. Would you waste a doctrine slot for great tolerance? Would you or would you not? Oh, right. Before I go back in, Wu Wei. Okay, so I didn't go through the veterancy line for the Wu Wei Mansion guards. So sorry if this breaks up the flow or anything. This is a straight up 120 increase 3 times. Piercing armor defense, piercing armor penetration, sorry, and then piercing defense. We got movement speed, Soul Breaking Claw by 1 second for 3. Piercing damage 2%. Damage of Brutal Sweep by 5%. And Soul Brooding Claw attack against enemies inflict bleeding for 3 seconds. A couple of my tests kind of shows this bleed, but it also feels like they do an attack in their basic attacks that also causes this bleed. So I'm thinking that maybe one of their attacks is tied to this. Not entirely sure. Can't really verify this, but don't hold me to this. One of their attacks does cause one of their basic attack causes a bleed. I know that when you use soul brooding claws, it does cause a bleed on tougher stuff. So bottom line, we got increased slashing, armor penetration, increased slashing defense, increased movement speed, brutal sweep cooldown by 2 for 3, so it's 6 seconds off. Slashing damage by 2 for 3 times. Each level increases pole Genesis arrives. I think that's supposed to be soul wielding claw. Regeneration by 100 points, so it's 300. Or does it mean pike proficiency? Not a lot by any stretch of the imagination. It's less than 3%. At that rate, we're probably going around about 2-ish%. 2-ish%. Receive 30% damage reduction during brutal sweep. Combine this with the 10%, that could be the go-to. 6 seconds off. I can see it, but it's just not going to work in the end. The cooldown is just not low enough. Not low enough, I would say. Unless Brutal Sweep gets another buff. I do think Brutal Sweep will get a buff. Gonna hit multiple people. If that does happen, it will be game changer. It will basically be smack, insta kill, I win button kind of thing. But nevertheless, that's not on the PTR right now. Subject to change. So it's up in the air. Right, back to some of the testing. Interesting thing is that Thornmail passive. I kind of understand the Thornmail passive if it is that attack, so that will be a really quick test. If they still have the attack, it means it's not Thornmail. If they don't have the attack, that attack is Thornmail. And then I'll check out double shot with the new unit. See how that works. Also, probably I should have put the attack speed increase. I haven't looked. Yep, Thornmail is that special attack. Oh my goodness. Now that's interesting as well. So they have some kind of push through attacks. So a lot of their attacks will cause knockdown. Kind of familiar for most cavalry, and it's kind of just doing the same thing. When you ram them into stuff, they knock a lot of things down. But these guys are a little bit more consistent. They have wider arcs on their attacks, and obviously their attacks hurt a lot more than regular stuff. Now, moment of truth. Double shot. Do you combine with what's-my-face calls it? I'm wondering if I can use these together. If I can use these together, it will be amazing. You cannot? Or am I blind? Did I interrupt it? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what happened there. It's also because, like, my thing just goes crazy right now. I don't have very reliable internet. Oh, I'll wait another 20 seconds, see if I can kind of get it work normally, and then see what happens. It did look a little bit faster, but it is restricted to kind of like the 3 attacks. Doesn't look like you're gonna get extra attacks. It's kind of like a set number of attacks, which is a good thing. It means that they're doing well, keeping shit stable.
Shoot them! 看着，死他！先不退。注意点枪。
Okay. How many attacks was that? It looked weird. It looked weird. I'll be honest there. And again, if I don't lag, I think it is. I think it is very strong. Combining these two. Does look like double shot is doing something, but not to the extent that I think it would normally. So because I get regular shot, I get double shot, and then I get power shot to... Nah, it breaks up there. Did I wait too long? I feel like I waited too long. I'll try activating the 2 ability and then the 3 ability this time. But I mean, at this point, you just activate the 2 ability, the 2 ability, the double shot ability, the 2 ability, and you just dish out so much damage. So much damage comes out that way. Oh, okay, no, that's just garbage.
Quickly now! 我等血战到底，弱弱之辈，拿命来！随时待命。All troops form up.
Ah, of course, of course.
Stand to. Form up.
I get some boring ass range right now. Oh, okay, that was very strange. Anyone else see that? Kind of bugged out there. Oh! That being said, very fascinating little thing, little tidbit. In order to activate their special move faster to the commander, you actually have to press the follow to me. And as you can see, they gain a little bit of a speed boost. Now, this speed boost is also different from the regular sprint, because when you're far away from a unit, you can actually double tap, and they will run towards you. So the speed boost plus the double tap, these guys are running real fast. So this is really good. This is really good to know when you want to get somewhere fast. Double tap is very fast. Double tap is lightning speed. Look at them run towards you. So yeah, just a little tidbit. It is kind of one of their traits, but at the same time, it's a bit hard to gauge. So, they fire. Nah, it did it again. It's because I can't tell if it's firing 2 shots at once or trying to shoot 2 by interfering with each other, of course. So they definitely done it so that they doesn't double shot doesn't do what I want it to do. Obviously, they would try to avoid that situation.
All troops form up. Archers stand ready. Shoot them.
Go machine cutters. It's always very surprising. It looks like the raw damage on the empowered one is hitting like 4,000, and then we got like the base damage being like 2,000. They're hitting like a truck. They're hitting like an absolute truck into the sword. Alright, please do not lag. For the last time, I am lagging like crazy. Look at this.
This unit skill is on cooldown.
Okay. So, obviously, I've been trying to cause this thing to overlap. But you can't. You just simply can't. So, yeah. What you gonna do? But yeah. I'm gonna show you the female attire, and then I'm just gonna close up the stream. It was a very long stream, so I hope you guys enjoyed. So, taking a look at the attires for the female. Oh, and I'll chuck on the unit attire on some other units just to get a better look at it. Cavalry units are not that great to look at the attire up close. Though, Tiger soldiers not looking great, honestly. As you can see, you look up close, it does look pretty nice. But this picture, why does this look so good? This picture looks amazing, super high quality. The outfit is so much more, there's so much more definition in the portrait of this. This is not like an in-game render. This is obviously some artist drew this, did the shadowing, did everything. Like, they drew this, and it looks gorgeous. In-game looks like trash. In-game looks like trash. You don't got the lighting, you don't got the thing. Not what I wanted. So, obviously, lighting not the greatest here either. Makes my eyes look like black holes. Pit. I do think that probably the female one looks better because I don't have that stupid helmet. Again, if we had a similar ornament like this for the male one, it would look amazing. Would look terrific. And of course, the color change makes it look very much nicer. Less gaudy, I would say. The white and the gold. Put a bit more plain color in. Makes it look better, in my opinion. That being said, I do like how the Snow Falcon attire looks very similar to each other. Probably moved the this chest piece around because this used to be up onto the right shoulder to the waist for the guys. But general outlook looks pretty much the same. I would say the hairstyle is, again, kind of like a male versus female kind of thing. Females probably got plenty more hairstyles, but I'm pretty sure there are some very artistic or aesthetic guys that can get some really cool hair. Again, I will say, I do think the turtleneck should probably become a bit tighter to make it give that more of a snug look, similar to how the guys are. And just the unit again.
You should know me.
Unit attire. Oh, one thing that I didn't mention, but if you've seen it, you've seen it. The whole new layout for this is super cool. I love that it just looks more. It kind of looks more well done. Probably not what people are used to. Again, not what I expected from like the tigers thing. The ears don't look right, I'll be honest. And I think it looks hilarious. Honestly, I think it looks hilarious.
Long sleep with death's glory.
I don't. It also goes to show you how tiny the helmets are on the Zweihammers. But yeah, the general shape of the tiger doesn't look like a tiger. The paws are stretched badly and just flip-flopped into each other, kind of like a weird kind of thing. Maybe maybe you could have done something like a full-on sash with the two tiger claws holding instead. I don't know. I don't like it. Personal bias.
善恶计分，社稷乃定。
The horse again, pretty stock standard. No, not stock standard, but like we've seen similar horses before, kind of like the Yoroi one. Yoroi, where is it? Yoroki. Yoroki. Maybe it's the Ashigaru one. You get my point though. I don't like the attire. But nevertheless, that is all for today. The PTR, again, is subject to change. This is about the upcoming season for Dragonrise. I hope you guys enjoy the video, and I'll probably keep making videos for Conqueror's Blade in the meantime. I hope you guys I'll be making more videos in the meantime. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Oh, man, I'm gonna end this really badly. This is gonna be the third time I've ended this. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. But other than that, my name's Satsukai. Have a nice day. Bye for now.